Yu-Gi-Oh! Card Game Chronicles is back to normal Summon Aleister. So yes, we've got more episodes of Card Game the Chronicles because at the very least, for a while we only had the confirmation that we'd be getting episodes for a year, but now that we've made it to April, we do know that the next set of episodes is going to be focused on the Magistus, which I know very little about from previously established lore, but it's pretty nice that we're going to get to understand it now. So the episode is about 8 minutes long, and it begins with a prologue that is pretty quick at least, sending out that there were 3 sages long ago who basically brought magic into the world, but that also brought with it things like monsters and an evil deity that they were able to defeat. Again, that was years ago, so we're sort of catching up with things now as there's the potential of that evil deity returning. So with this episode being titled Aleister the Invoker, obviously when we begin on a carriage of a few peasants being brought to a city, the guy sitting there stands out, you know, the one holding a staff and with green hair, but apparently the walled city they're going to is one said to be protected by Aleister even though he's right here. So when we get inside the city following the mom and the daughter, we're met by this guy who I was wondering if he was a previously established Yu-Gi-Oh monster, but apparently he isn't, just being called the Beast Tamer on the website, though he claims to be Aleister, commanding a giant magical monster, forcing everybody to work for him in exchange for protection. That is when the real Aleister steps up and reveals himself, kind of calling into question like, hey, who are you, buddy? Casting some sort of attack against that magical beast and sending it flying, and then eventually, revealing himself as, yes, it's me, you're a fake. And then to fight off a monster a bit, he shows the power of the true invocation magic as he invokes Cocytus, recreating the artwork of the invocation spell card. And overall here the animation is okay, there are some shortcuts taken that you can tell, but in individual moments where we have like a close-up of some of the monsters moving, it looks pretty good. So I'm very curious to see how it is going forward. Anyway, Aleister has proven his point and the fake runs off, but all the villagers are mad at him because they're like, man, who is going to protect us now? Are you going to? And to that Aleister says, nope, you gotta fend for yourselves. So at the very least, we're getting an idea of his character. It's not necessarily that he doesn't really care about people, but he basically came here to do one thing. Now being awakened in a magical world that needs correcting, he has one goal in mind. Though he does get a nice little moment with that little girl character who is an unnamed character. She had been coughing throughout the episode, and when she thanks Aleister, he realizes that, oh, she has a bunch of magic building up in her, which he helps release into a crystal and also kind of lets her know like, hey, you have the power to do magic, kind of leaving that on an open end, and while he did help her out at least, I really do think that he is mostly looking out for himself and cares about magic in general, in terms of like identifying misuse and setting up proper use. And the episode ends with him walking down a trail and talking to himself, mentioning both Endymion and Rilliona by name, who are 2 other spellcaster monsters we know of, who do tie into the Magistus lore, and also, as we know from the promotional artwork, are going to be the other sages, and very likely the focus of the next 2 episodes before the final one has them all coming together. So I don't think this episode was too bad, it did a pretty decent job setting things up, and with the potential of building up to something else, I'm going to give the action a pass for now, but overall I was a little unimpressed, at least when we got to that action sequence, but otherwise in terms of character and lore, I think that was well done. The setting so far is a little generic, fantasy, medieval during the day, and I'm hoping that with Endymion and Rilliona's episodes we start to dive into some more interesting locations, but overall this was an okay episode of the next series of lore that we're going to be getting. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments of this episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! Card Game the Chronicles and what you want to see going forward. And if you know a bit more about the Magistus lore, let me know if this is something that I should get excited about. If you enjoyed the video, remember to leave a like, subscribe, hype it up as well. But anyway, for now, this is GatorX, and I will catch you all later.